Well, hello everybody. We are about to set the grid for actually 3 classes at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 10 corners, just under 2.5 miles. Down the start-finish straight, down to turn 1, which is now flat out, through Clayton Corner and Quebec Corner 2 and 3, and then up to turn 5, and it is up to turn 5. Turn 5 and 6 known as Moss Corner. That's Sir Sterling Moss, who pretty much dug that out, not with his own hands obviously, but he traced it in the circuit, and then through Mario Andretti straight away, which isn't straight, but it does go away, and down to turn 8. That's another potential passing point. Through the S's, the cars work really, really hard, and through to turn 10. The final corner is White's Corner. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindhaugh, and in the Full Performance Global Broadcast Centre with me is Jeremy Shaw. We'll talk to him in just a moment, but first of all, let's head down to our CrowdStrike pit reporter, who is Shea Adam, on the pit lane in what is 29 degrees in the air now, which is 84 Fahrenheit. It's 104 on track, which is 40 Celsius, and she's in 3-layer Nomex. Good afternoon, Shea.
Good afternoon, John. No, thankfully, I took that very, very short break opportunity to change out of the Nomex and back into the IMSA radio shirt, and I did cheat a little bit. I did leave on the yoga pants instead of putting on the full jeans because the weather is still very hot, and after being out here for that Michelin Pilot Challenge race, which was excellent, by the way. If you didn't catch it live, you should catch it on the archive. No spoilers as far as that's concerned, but it was nice to just put on some lighter clothes, and now we get qualifying. So 2 short and sharp 15-minute sessions for each of the categories. For the first category will be all the GT3 cars going out at once and your drivers. Well, let's go from front to back numerically today. In the number 1, it is Madison Snow for Paul Miller Racing and their BMW. The 2 Corvette contingents. We've got Alexander Sims, who set the fastest lap of the race overall last year. He was in a GTP car. He is doing the job for the number 3 Corvette. That's the one that also went on to win the race last year with Antonio Garcia and Jordan Taylor. Hi, Jordan. We miss you. We wish you were here. Tommy Milner is going to be driving the number 4 Corvette in qualifying, his first start here since 2018. He had a broken wrist in 2019 and was unable to drive at CTMP. It is Marvin Kirchhoffer who's doing the job for FAF in their beautiful plaid McLaren. Love the livery on that car that they've done especially for the Canadian fans this weekend. We've got Jack Hawksworth in the number 14. I should say Motomaster as well, the sponsor on that car, allowing that to happen. So Jack aboard the number 14, 2 times the pole winner here for Vassar Sullivan in their Lexus. Super Mario Farnbacher is aboard the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. Keep an eye on him. He hasn't raced here since 2019, but in that year he finished 2nd. Harry Tinknell is aboard the number 64 Ford Mustang, and the sister car is Big Dog Joey Hand for this weekend in the number 65, coming off of his best ever NASCAR finish and 1 step off the podium last weekend at Chicago. We've got Sebastian Prix, as always, driving Rexy. He's qualified it every single time this year, putting it on pole at Daytona. Now for our GTD cars. Frankie Montecalvo has been on pole here before. He's looking to try and do it again in the number 12 Vassar Sullivan Lexus. This is a very special track to Ore Fidani, and he is going to be going out for qualifying today. Last year, this was his strongest qualifying of the entire calendar. Let's see if maybe he can replicate that this time in the Chevy Corvette. For the number 27 Heart of Racing, super classy professional. All words that you would use to describe Spencer Pumpelly, as he got out of a race car in the last race, even changed his fire suit to the Heart of Racing before jumping aboard this Aston Martin. We've got Mick Grenier aboard the number 23, the number 32. Did a little bit of dyslexia there. That's the Mercedes for KPM. It's Manny Franco in the Ferrari for Conquest Racing, the number 34. We've got another hometown hero, Barrie native Kyle Marcelli is qualifying the number 45 WTR Andretti Lamborghini. Gianmarco Leverato getting his first laps around the track earlier today after a gearbox issue in yesterday's practice session. He is going to be doing the duty for Proton with their Ford Mustang. Russell Ward, with 4 race wins this year out of 5 attempts, will be qualifying for Windward Racing in the number 57 Mercedes. We've got Sheena Monk qualifying the Gradient Racing Acura. Brendan Arieb in the number 70 Inception Racing McLaren. Another Toronto guy, it's Misha Goikberg in the number 78. That is the USRT Forte Racing Lamborghini. Misha and Laura Spinelli very quick in the last practice session. It's Kieron Lee in the 86 for High Class Racing in their Porsche. And last and definitely not least, put them least at your peril, that would be Patrick Gallagher in the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. As you can hear behind me, the engines have rumbled up. Cars are going out on track, not really leaving each other a whole lot of space. That's going to be entertaining, but we are green for this 15-minute qualifying session.
Already 20 seconds into it. Thank you, Shea Adam, for that CrowdStrike pit report. And pretty much the whole field heads out. Brendan Arieb, or at least Brendan Arieb in the Inception Racing McLaren has not yet gone out in that car. We're still waiting for the Vassar Sullivan 40. In fact, neither of the Lexuses or the new back in plaid Fath top turret. That hasn't gone back out yet either. And it looks like the number 3 Corvette hasn't left. But as the rest of them have peeled off a little bit, I just want to say, oh, and a problem for the Conquest 34, which was about to leave, but it has not got out of the pit lane. It's got beyond the pit lane speed limit line, and this is going to be a problem because that car can't stay there, and the team aren't allowed to go and push it back because it is effectively now on the track. Now, it's protected by the wall on driver's left, but indeed the red flag has come out, and of course as the red flag come out, that is the perfect opportunity for the number 34 to fire up, and Manny Franco has got it moving. So this will be a very quick red flag indeed. It's not up to speed though, and the team had started to run down there. And don't forget, teams, go back to your pit box. Do not sit in the fast lane, otherwise you will get a drive through. Yeah, Manny's not got further than the end of the edge of the pit lane. I'll bring Jeremy Shaw in just a moment. I just want to say a very big thank you to a whole group of people who have been very busy today from very early this morning, as well as my co-commentators and our technical staff. That is, of course, as ever, our marshals, corner workers, track workers, medical, and of course rescue, and the AMR safety team, best in the biz. I know that you're all listening in on 90.7 FM around the circuit, and can't be talking about motor racing at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park without mentioning my much missed and very long-term commentary partner, my first commentary partner when I came to the States back in 1998, and that is the much missed Jim Martin, rightly inducted into the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame a year or so ago. And Therese Martin, his daughter, is at the circuit this weekend, and I'm sending lots of good wishes to you and the family, and the rest of the Martin clan. And every time we are at CTMP, I always think of all of the good times and the laughs I had with Jim. So, Jeremy Shaw, welcome to the broadcast, and a bit of a false start. We've got the Olympics coming up. Right, re-rack them, get them back on their blocks.
Yeah, what a shame for Manny Franco. That car, they've had some really good results this season in the GTD class. First time full season effort for Conquest Racing in GTD, and they stand 4 points coming into this weekend, so it's been a good strong run for them. So they're going to have some work to do. Had 2 podium finishes already this year. Started off with a 3rd place finish at Daytona, then last time out at the Salem 6000 of the Glen, came home in 2nd position, so on the upward trend there, but unfortunately it's not gone right for them at the beginning of this qualifying session. They're going to have to hopefully get that car fired up again. And well, is he allowed to? I mean, if
the red flag,
he can get that car to the pit lane and they don't touch it, perhaps he can continue, but I don't think that's very likely. So it looks like the qualifying session is done for Manny Franco.
Yeah, they're going to drag it behind the wall somewhere safe and not bring it back to pit lane. the other thing I'm looking at very carefully is how much green flag running we might be able to get, because we're getting very close to not being able to have enough to have this as a full session. Now it is up to race control. They can reset the clock if they want to, and they've just done that actually. So they've green flagged it with 10 minutes to go. They just reset it by about 5 or 6 seconds there to ensure that we got the 10 minutes of green flag running, which makes this a legitimate session. I think once again we saw some very sensible race control decisions being made earlier on the weekend, and once again that makes perfect sense. Just to, I suppose in NFL or NBA terms, reset the clock. It did. Makes a lot of sense to me. However, it does take a third of the available time away, and it will take a lap or two, Jeremy Shaw, to get heat and therefore the right pressures into these Michelin tyres for the GT runners.
Indeed, and interesting to see whether this hinders or benefits the cars that didn't go out. There were, I think, 4 cars that didn't go out with everybody else at the beginning of the session. The Pfaff McLaren, I think, certainly the 2 Vasser Sullivan Lexuses, and also the Proton Ford didn't go out of the pit. I think everybody else did. So it'll be interesting to see whether this works in their favour or not, you know, because the other cars, they've all done one slow lap, very slow lap, to take the edge off their Michelin tyres, whereas those other contenders, they will go out now on a brand new fresh set. But we're now going to have all the cars on the racetrack, except for one, of course, that won't have a problem, but everybody else is going to be out on the racetrack at the same time.
They've spread out a little bit more, actually, which is quite interesting. Tommy Milner has got a lovely gap. He's just coming up to the end of the Mario Andretti straight through turn 10 at the moment. He's got the Gianmarco Lavorato Proton Ford Mustang. Had a clutch problem early in the week, that car. Missed a bit of time on the track. He's sitting in behind the vet number 4. They've got a decent gap. The other car that's got a really good gap is Seb Preo in the AO Racing Porsche. That's Rexy. He's got 2/3 of the Mario Andretti straight between himself and the car in front, which is, I think, Grenier in the Court of Preston Mercedes number 32. So keep an eye open for those people making the most of their gap. Behind Seb is the number 1, Madison Snow. He's just gone through turn number 8 at the moment. He's got clear track ahead of him. Here comes Seb. Preo across the line then and puts in a 1:16.144. The GT3 record here is Antonio Garcia from last year with a 1:16.508. So that's a race that record, mind you.
The qualifying record is a 15.029 for Jack Hawksworth last year for GT Pro. For non-pro, Robert DeAngelis a 1:15.4. And in this morning's practice session, we saw a stunning lap from Hawksworth into the 40s, a 1:14.821. Quickest in regular GTD was a 15.6 for Loris Spinelli, who I don't think will be qualifying the number 78 car. Indeed, it's Richard Breukberg at the wheel of that car.
Carl Marcelli is the best of the... Yeah, very good first lap. Carl Marcelli, Wayne Taylor Racing Lamborghini, proving that the Lambos do still have the pace in second place and the best of the GTDs. Like I said, just lost a tiny bit of time coming out of turn 6. He's had to go on and off the throttle, but he still does improve. He's down to a 15.5 on his second flying lap, and he's still got a good gap ahead of him. He's not yet caught Mick Grenier, who's getting up to speed. As far back it goes to the top for Aston Martin, and it's Aston Martin, Heart of Racing, who are doing a bit of a Vasser Sullivan at the moment with the GTD Pro and then the GTD in second place. Spencer Pumpelly drops into the GTD Pro as Hawksworth does a 14.9, Jeremy.
Yeah, he's on a mission again this weekend, isn't he, Jack Hawksworth? A 1:14.821 he managed this morning, and a 14.972 already in this session. That's his first flying lap. A pretty stout effort for the Englishman there. He's on a bit of a mission again, isn't he, this season? He's always on a mission, Jack Hawksworth. He's had already one pole this season. He wants to make it 2.
It's the voice of Jeremy Shaw in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre with me, John Hindhaugh, Adam, CrowdStrike pit reporter. We'll grab the 2 pole sitters. Just remember that the guys will line up as they qualify. We don't split GTD Pro and GTD on the grid, so at the moment there are 3 GTD Pros because we have a new fastest lap of the qualifying session, and it's a Corvette lap, Jeremy.
Jeremy, it's Alexander Sims. You were just talking about him a few minutes ago. It was he who set the fastest lap of the race last year in GT at a 107.4, and now done 14.7. For 14.9, but that's been eclipsed again by Jack Hawksworth. But the Corvettes, they were super strong yesterday, 1 and 2 in the first practice session, and now in second position behind only Jack Hawksworth. Frankie Montecalvo, another brilliant lap from Frankie to go right behind Alexander Sims in the second of the fastest solo cars, but the first in GTD.
1 second will take you down to 9th position, and Russell Ford for Winward Racing. It's 2 tenths, a tenth, a tenth and a half, and a tenth between the top 6 or so. And I suspect it might get even closer than that at the moment. Hawksworth by 2 tenths. Here comes Corvette to the line. Does not improve for the number 3 car. Is Alex Sims at 21. So that was a slowdown. That was a recuperation lap, or a get me a bit of gap lap. He's got the 32, Frankie Montecalvo, 32 is the Mick Grenier driven Mercedes behind him. Hawksworth goes again and goes quicker again, 14.6 now. It's the fastest lap we've seen this week, I think now. And Frankie Montecalvo proving that the Lexus RCF GT3 is no slouch around here. He's put in a 15 flat to be 3rd best in the GTs and the only GTD car in the top 6.
Really impressed by Frankie Montecalvo there, yeah. 1:15.060, that's a new lap record for GTD, eclipsing the mark from last year, Roman DeAndres, 1:15.4. Brilliant lap from Frankie. He's been studying hard from that data this morning after the laps from Jack Hawksworth. I mean, he had a really good lap himself this morning, did Frankie Montecalvo, at a 1:15.6. I thought that was pretty good. He shaved off more than half a second. As Alexander Sims goes faster again, 1:14.4 for the number 3 Corvette. Wow.
Lot of GM interest here, of course. But built cars down the road at Oshawa for a very long time. A lot of GM fans here. This is a Corvette sort of track as well. By 2 tenths of a second, I'll be honest, I didn't expect to see these kind of gaps. Track temperature just easing a little bit. 39 Celsius is 102 Fahrenheit. And in the air, still a heady 84 Fahrenheit, 29 Celsius. Sims for Corvette, then the 2 Vassar Sullivan Lexus. Frankie Montecalvo, the only GTD car in the top 8 now. Now the cars are identical. They have the same balance of performance, the same performance potential. So there's no reason why it shouldn't be up there. But my goodness, he's in some heady company. Alexander Sims, Jack Hawksworth, Tommy Milner, Harry Tincknell. Pretty impressive stuff there.
Yeah, good luck there by Harry Tincknell. That's a good bit quicker than the Ford has shown so far this weekend. Still 3/4 of a second down on Alexander Sims, but good improvement for the number 64 Ford Multimatic Motorsports Ford Mustang GT3. But Alexander Sims, wow, that's a heck of a lap from him there in number 3. The sister car, Tommy Milner, he improved on his last lap, or the previous lap, 15.1. But is still behind Frankie Montecalvo, who's now into the pit lane already. I think he's recognised the fact that's about as good as he's going to do. A fine job it was for Frankie Montecalvo from New Jersey into third position. Overall, fastest in GTD. Time
Checkered flag is being unfurled. Yeah, 5 seconds to go. The 2 Corvettes are still out there. They're the only 2 out in the top 8. Kirchhofer in the Pfaff McLaren is still out on the track. Needs to find a lot. Tommy Milner sees the checkered flag. He will be no better than 4th. He improved actually, 1:15.1 on his final lap. Waiting to see the number 3 of Alexander Sims come across the line. Here he comes across the line and he goes quicker still. Underlined. That's 2.5 tenths quicker than Jack Hawksworth, who was bossing things this morning. 1:14.373. Incredible stuff. Seb Priault's still out there in Rexy for EO Racing. I don't think he's going to get any better than that. And in fact, pits. So we can now say it. Alexander Sims takes his first pole position in IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship competition. And he takes it for Chevrolet Corvette with a better than 2/10 gap from himself to the 2 Vassar Sullivan Lexus, the Pro and then the GTD. Then the number 4 Corvette, the 64 Ford, the Paul Miller number 1 BMW, Harter Racing Aston, the number 23 in 7th. On the outside of the 4th row of the GT field will be Pfaff in their newly plaid McLaren, re-plaid, I suppose you could call it. Harter Racing's 20, somebody's going to have that in a press release now, re-pladded. The 27 Harter Racing, Spencer Pumpelly, Aston is on the inside of row 5. Seb Priaulт on the outside completes the GTD Pro. No, he doesn't actually, because Joey Hans is here, the GTD Pro. But a lot of GTD Pros in the top 10. 8 of the top 10 in GTD Pros. Then it's Pat Gallagher for Turner Motorsport, number 96 on the inside of row 6. Mick Grenier on the outside. It will be Inception on the inside of row 7 from Winwood in the McLaren and Mercedes. Lamborghini went Taylor Racing with Andretti Global and Ford Multimatic Joey Hand on row 8. Row 9, Lamborghini Forte and Gradient Acura. It's a good lap actually by Sheena Monk there as well, a 1:16.3 ahead of Gianmarco Leverato, Ori Fadani and Caron Lee as far as the qualifying is concerned. So Manny Franco will start in the outside of the 11th row. That, Jeremy, that was impressive by all of those top guys. I didn't expect to see the gaps that we have between the first 3, the .045, the 0.72, the 0.16 further down. That's what I expected to see. And I certainly didn't expect to see 2.5 tenths between Paul and second, especially when Paul wasn't Jack Hawksworth and the Lexus RCF GT3.
Yeah, stunning lap from Alexander Sims. He's had 4 fastest race laps in his IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship career, but as you say, his first pole position, and what a place to do it. The Chevrolet Grand Prix, of course, and he loves this racetrack. He's the overall GTP track record holder in race conditions, and he's now a new lap record holder also in GTD Pro as well, so hats off to him. You mentioned Sheena Monk, by the way. That lap she turned was a full second quicker than she managed in practice.
GTD, Frankie Montecalvo.
And for Frankie, this is a super cool thing because it's your 5th pole, your 2nd pole here, though. What is it about CTMP that just seems to work for you?
Like I said, this is my favorite track. Ever since the first time I ever got here, it's just everything flows. Every corner connects. You really have to put each corner together. You mess up one in the beginning, and they all seem to kind of fall out of line. So it's just really an awesome circuit to be able to drive.
Your last 2 wins came at these big boy tracks, if you will. Watkins Glen and Road America. You think the CTMP might be friendly to your Lexus tomorrow?
I think so. I got my hometown advantage over here, so we're gonna take that and bring the 12 up front.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Magnificent stuff from Frankie Montecalvo, and my goodness me, that was a lap, one of only 2 GTD cars in the top 10, and fully half a second quicker than Spencer Pumpelly for Harter Racing and the Aston Martin, second in GTD. I'll remind you that they will start in the order that I read them out. They will start in the timing order that they qualified, and there will be no split between GTD Pro and GTD. So Frankie side of the second row of GTD cars, if that makes any sense. And he was so cool about that. Put that together very nicely indeed, and was always a factor, Jeremy, from the very first laps. He started to turn in that 10-minute session, and the pressure was on for everybody there. Actually, that was intensity at its best.
It was, wasn't it? I mean, no time to get yourself up to speed. Just get on the bike and go.
Let's go down to the man who will lead the GTD cars to the green flag in the Chevrolet Grand Prix tomorrow, and that is Corvette Racing by Pratt Miller driver Alexander Sims.
Alexander, when we finished the race last year, you were the fastest driver to turn a lap in the GTP category. Now, starting the race, you're the fastest driver to turn a lap in GTD Pro. You seem to do well at this track, considering the win a few years back now, too. What is it that just works with you?
Well, it's just it's a lovely mix of high-speed corners here, where, yeah, you need to be brave, and as with many tracks over in America, compared to like the conventional sort of F1 circuits in Europe, where you don't get rewarded so much for being brave, here you really do. Took some risks out there, but that wow, the car just came alive in qualifying trim. You know, the Corvette's been working well through practice as well, but yeah, to run on new tyres, low fuel, and get some clear laps without traffic, which was something I didn't have in practice to get a real good feeling of. It's an absolute honour, honestly. It's a privilege to be able to experience those moments.
And especially with such a big fan base here as well. The Canadians love Corvette. They've been so loyal to the brand over all the years. You've got to be feeling a little bit extra motivated by all the people who come up to you and say, hey, I cheer for the brand you drive for.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely to have the support that we do. It's really incredible, the support that Chevrolet and Corvette have here, along with many other circuits, to be honest, as well. You know, the Corvette is always, when I wasn't racing for Corvette, it was always the Corvette that had the longest line of fans out for autograph session and stuff. So now to be representing them is lovely, and yeah, to drive here is, as I said, it's been wonderful.
Any day you can get 2.5 tenths on Jack Hawksworth. That's an impressive drive. Congrats and great job out there.
Thanks a lot.
Brilliant stuff from Alexander Sims. Been around the sport a wee while now, and proving his worth at Corvette Racing by Pratt Miller. Actually, I looked at that stat twice, Jeremy. It was quite a shock to me that was his first pole position in this championship.
Yeah, I mean, rarely gets the opportunity to qualify, to be fair, but it was certainly a fine run by him, and you can see how much it meant to him. I think he was absolutely delighted to get that under his belt, and it really was a magnificent effort for him. He's been second on the grid a few times. He was second on the grid at Watkins Glen back in 17. He's had 3 or 4 seconds on the grid, but like I say, it's not often that he qualifies. He's only qualified, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 times through his entire career, which is only coming into this weekend 39 starts. But more often than not, he has not been the qualifying driver in the past.
Shea Adam, our CrowdStrike pit reporter, will give us the qualifying drivers for LMP2, which is a lot easier because it has to be the non-pro driver, Shea.
Yeah, this one's easy. And the number 2 for United Autosport is going to be Mr. Ben Keating, the man who's got 2 wins here, but that was back in the GTD class. George Kurtz is aboard the CrowdStrike by APR 04 machine. We've got local John Ferrano, as Ranger Van de Zande told us earlier. He lives about an hour away and has been eating dinners at home every night. It is Stephen Thomas, birthday boy yesterday, aboard the number 11 TDS Racing Orica. We've got our newcomer, Mr. Wiltshire, aboard the number 18 for Era Motorsport. It's Mr. Anderson aboard the number 20 for High Class by MDK. Dan Goldberg is sharing the number 22 United Autosport car this weekend with Philippe Albuquerque, but it is Dan going out for qualifying. We've got Nick Boole in the number 52 for PR1 Matheson, shared with Inter-Europol. It's Gar Robinson in the number 74 for Riley. In the number 88, Luis Perez Companc, the most recent race winner in the LMP2 category, is driving the Richard Mille AF Course Entry. It's PJ Hyatt in Spike, the number 99, fan favorite. And I actually did meet a lot of fans on the grid walk who said that they were here to see Spike and Rexy. And last but certainly not least, in the Ligier, it is Mr. Lance Wilsey.
Thank you, Shea. I like Mister for the non-pro drivers. I think that's very good. I like that a lot. So 15 minutes and counting, and this will not be a qualifying record for LMP2 because the LMP2's been slowed down quite a lot down through the years. I suppose, did we reset the qualifying record when WeatherTech came along for the LMP2 category, Jeremy?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I mean, I show the qualifying lap record, certainly from WeatherTech days, as being a 108.2. That was for Carl Masson back in 2019. Actually, Matt McMurray went a little bit quicker in the race that year, to a 108.1. But that's an average speed of just shy of 130 miles an hour. I think the fastest of the non-pro drivers, it has to be the bronze rated driver who does this qualifying session. So far, yesterday and today from the 2 practice sessions, that would be PJ Hyatt, who turned a lap yesterday. I think his fastest lap was at a 1 minute 9.3, which is quicker even in either session than Pipo Derani and several others as well.
So expect this to be an action-packed 15 minutes because all of these drivers will, I'm pretty certain, will stay to the bitter end in this. And what we know about the Michelin tyres is that as the VP racing fuel burns off and the cars get lighter, they still have the performance. It's not like they're 1 or 2 laps and done. They'll still have the performance. And even though these are non-pro drivers, in terms of their driver rating, they will bring the tyres up nice and gently to make sure that they have plenty of performance for 4 or 5 laps. It's a very specific thing, switching a tyre on and getting the ultimate lap time out of it within a couple of laps. It's a skill, and not every driver has it. Some pro drivers don't like to have to do that. It's not something I could ever do. My last lap in qualifying was almost always my fastest lap as I built gently and learned, usually because you haven't been on the track as much as you'd like to. Certainly haven't been on the track in a car with low fuel and brand new tyres. Probably the first time you're doing that. So Gar Robinson sets the first benchmark of 112, but we're not even going to get excited about Dan Goldberg going to a 110 quite yet. There'll be plenty more to come. And here's the issue though, if somebody goes off, then that could bring a red flag. And we have got a car at turn 3 into the wall quite heavily. And that's at the bottom of turn 2 actually. Big lock up and it's the Motul car that's gone straight on. That's the number 20 Dennis Anderson car, MDK. The red flag is out. We had 4 minutes and 40 seconds of green flag racing before the red flag came out. And this is going to take a bit of unravelling. As ever, the IMSA safety team are there already. A bit more hard work to do for the track services, EMR safety team and the IMSA safety trucks. So it's Goldberg from George Kurtz, so United from CrowdStrike from United, Ben Keating, 22, 4 and 2. And I think it was just a misjudgment coming down the hill. Yeah, locked it up. Maybe a lock up on the down change for Dennis there as he was coming down the hill. He was sideways as he was getting in towards the turning area, and then he's completely locked up the Michelin's, trying to scrub off as much speed as he can. We were talking about this earlier on, and that used to be grass, that area, and there's a couple of young fans on the outside there who've got some very nice footage for them. Not great for Dennis. He's talking to the EMR safety crew who have arrived in comfort and style, as well as speed and efficiency in their Porsche Cayenne intervention vehicle. Second car gets there as well. I did notice that the V8 is back in the Cayenne S now. We've had the opportunity to sample that a couple of times. Now, the witness marks would say that he was locked up and turned around from a long way back, and certainly that seemed to be the case. A bit of an odd one, that, Jeremy, because Dennis seemed to have lost control of the car before he got anywhere near to the apex of the bottom of turn 2 Clayton Corner.
Sure enough, but you're fully committed and on the gas well before that, at the kind of crest of the hill there. You've done, if you are slowing down much, and they don't slow down an awful lot for corner 2 here, but you've done that by the time you turn into the corner, we'll say the top of the hill. So I think he must have lost it on the as he turned the car into the corner, which is kind of over that crest. So it's pretty tricky, particularly, it was only I guess he'd done a couple of laps already though, hadn't he? So where's number 20 car? How many? I think he'd done 2 laps probably. So yeah, the tyres should have been close to being up to a full temperature, but probably not quite. And I think that's probably the issue there for Dennis Anderson.
I wonder if he'd actually lost it over the top of the rise and been fighting it from that point, because he was
I think so, John,
sideways and backwards, very early in the piece there.
Yeah, I think so. And then, at that stage, he knows he's in trouble, so he kind of locks it up. And as you say, all that area on the outside of the corner after the track out point is now paved. So if you're locked up, you're certainly going to slow. You're going to try and scrub off as much speed as you can before you make that, unfortunately, inevitable impact with the tyre barrier.
Tyre barriers, they may not look very high-tech, but they have absolutely done their job. There's a wee bit of damage to the front end of the MDK machine, but that car is incredibly intact. I'm looking at the front wheels, they're pointing in roughly the same direction, and so that's good. We've already got track services there with a little Kubota that looks like Luigi out of cars that is being helping to put right the tyre wall, just in case we need more bundles of tyre. There's a track services van there, light truck, which has got bundles of tyres in the back of it, the white truck that's down at the bottom of the hill. I know that because I've seen this before here at CTMP. This is a well-organised, well-practiced routine, and the rollback, the flatbed, is already there. We've got the recovery truck with the hook up onto the top of the car, all of the IMSA cars have it. It's mandatory, and it's placed at the balance point of the car as well, so that the car doesn't tilt forwards or backwards. All the GTs have it as well, and there's a special attachment that IMSA take to each circuit that has the right pitch, the right gap between the fastening points, so that it doesn't slide sideways either. So we're not going to need any extra tyres. That truck can leave. The crane has done its job, and that one can leave. And now it's just a question of fastening that red and white prototype on. It's right front damage on that car. The clock is still counting. It's down at 4.5 minutes. I'll suggest again that that will keep being reset to make sure that we have 10 minutes, which means that we will get the 10 minutes. We had just over 4 minutes, so I'm assuming it'll be reset to the it'll be reset to 6 minutes or somewhere simple. That was a thing of beauty to watch, not the accident, Jeremy, but the choreography of how everything came together so brilliantly by the various different teams from IMSA and from the circuit. Brilliant to watch.
Yeah, and extremely well described there, John. I must admit too, really nice job. It is incredible to see all those different teams working together to get us back to green flag conditions as quickly as we can. Brilliant work there, and yeah, some damage to the right front on that number 20 car, but it could have been a heck of a lot worse, that's for sure. Remember, who was it? It was the Juncos.
Remember the Juncos car?
Yeah, DPI
upside
car.
Down.
Yeah, well, buried deep in that tar barrel at the bottom of the hill there. That was really scary.
Yeah, that's right. Who was driving that?
Was that Victor Franzoni?
Canapino?
Yeah, good question. Was it Victor Franzoni?
Victor went into the forest, yeah, absolutely. One or two bits and pieces of debris just threatening to fall off the flatbed, but the other thing is that there are plenty of places to get out of the track, because that car's not going to take any further parts, so there's no need for it to drive slowly round the other 2 miles of the track, and so it's turned off at turn number 6, actually. That's Moscow. That car's pulled out the way. Engines are fired, and the green flag for qualifying is back out. I'm waiting for the clock to be reset somewhere near 6 minutes. And yeah, it's been reset now. It has been reset at 5.5 minutes, which is absolutely spot on. I said we've had 4 minutes 40. Brilliant stuff from race control again. So this again will be an earned pole position, not set any other way. Championship points is the favourite. My goodness me. Once again, we have distilled a qualifying session down to 5 minutes, and that includes your out lap and your warm-up lap. So now, what we're going to see now, Jeremy, is there's not going to be time for people to take it easy on the first couple of laps. This has to be get your brain in gear and remind ourselves that these aren't the pro drivers.
Dead right, and there's several drivers who certainly have not yet shown their proper potential. In particular, Nick Boole in car number 52, PJ Hart in car number 99. They currently stand 7th and 5th respectively in the overall order. Dan Goldberg was really the only. Well, no, Dan Goldberg and George Kurtz both laid out a good lap. Low 10s, 10.119 for Goldberg, 10.180 for George Kurtz, but nobody else, not even Ben Keating, within a second of that. So now, though, you've got to make sure you've got some clear track as well to work with. And there's 3 or 4 of these cars here a bit too close together, including Dan Goldberg, who wants to, I would suggest, give himself a bit of space here if it's going to get a clear lap. And he doesn't want to get held up by that car that's directly ahead of him, which I think was the number 18 car for Era Motorsport.
Spot on, Jeremy. Stuart Wiltshire, new to this track, did a huge long run in a free practice 2 to get some more time behind the wheel. He's used to driving very powerful and high downforce cars, including LMP2s. He's got a Peugeot LMP1 car as well that he races in historics. So it's more about, I think, the track than the car. 3 minutes to go, so maybe 3 laps if you get this right. I've got to say, I think I might have just hung back off the back and given myself my own time to build up to a flying lap. Gar Robinson goes through, improves a 1:10.0. That's impressive from Gar Robinson, the 74 car.
Yeah.
As he's improved again on that first flyer without any real tyre prep at all. By
Yeah, good
far the
effort by
quickest
George,
driver
that's
on
for
track.
sure. Very good effort by George.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds, 1.3 seconds ahead of anybody else on that first track. So it's Gar Robinson with that 1:10.031. He's got 0.88 of his 0.088 of a second, excuse me, between himself and Dan Goldberg, who didn't improve on his first flyer. Neither did George Kurtz. Stephen Thomas, 4th place with a 1:11.3 for TDS. Also improving PJ Hyatt, still in, or into the top 6 there. Gar Robinson again, 1:09.6. He's got
here
this
comes
car
PJ Hyatt.
absolutely nailed in. He's PJ. Oh, look at that, 1:09.5, Jeremy, from PJ Hyatt.
Yep, and Dan Goldberg got a 1:96 as well. 1:97 for Nick Boole, 1:98 for Stephen Thomas. Wow, just over 2/10 of a second, covering the top 5 now. And PJ Hyatt, he's got good clear road ahead of him. Gar Robinson has just gone. Well, they're all improving again on this lap through sector 1. Purple there for PJ Hyatt, who was fastest already. Got a nice gap. The car in front of him is Gar Robinson, and he's, well, at least a third of the Mario Andretti straightaway ahead of him. Oh no!
And the AF Corsa Richard Mille car's gone off. It's Luis Perez Companc who has gone off, and that will be it. That's a minute and no, it won't, because we haven't had the full 10 minutes. So are we going to reset again with a minute and 30, a minute and 40 on the clock? This is earlier on in the turn 3 than we've seen issues before. This is top at the 3. So PJ Hyatt could get robbed of his pole here, because if we don't restart this, we will go on championship points, and that would put Gar Robinson at the front of the field. It's going to be a clear up and a rehash of the tyres again. I reckon we only need about 90 seconds. We have got Wayland Mazda MX-5 presented by Michelin Tyres to come in their race. So
the problem with the 90 seconds, John, is that that's about what it takes on your outlap. Once it goes green, 90 seconds isn't really enough to get around and start your next flying lap. So they are. If we're going to have any more time, the officials are certainly going to have to reset the clock.
Well, yeah. If they put 90 seconds on, I reckon that would make the session legal, though, because we haven't had the 10 minutes of green flag. That was why I'm saying 90 seconds.
Yes, right. Exactly. I hear you. Yeah.
For the times that have been set by everybody to stand. Now, pretty much everybody has done a time. Stuart didn't get up to speed. No, yes, he did. He did the 13. My apologies. Dennis Anderson obviously didn't. So we're going to... Luis Perez Companc will lose his 2 fastest times anyway, as will the... Dennis Anderson didn't get a time, I don't think. I think he'd only done 2 laps. And his best was a 13.6, so he'll lose both of those. So now it is a conundrum for race control to see whether they will reset the clock and put a couple of minutes or thereabouts on first time. That car is pretty well stuck in the the tyre barrier because the Chevy safety truck is spinning its back wheels at the moment on dry grass and not pulling that car out. Well, let's see if we can work out what went wrong for Dennis. Luis, he just understeered off. Just understeered off on the grass. Had the fronts locked up. That was relatively innocuous there, Jeremy, as if for some reason he couldn't slow the car down.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. You didn't slow the car down enough. You're right, but you kind of run the rim there, if you like, going into the corner. Then you turn in. You don't ride the rim around the outside, obviously, but he just carried a bit too much speed before he turned into the corner, and then the road turns there, but you're already on the grass. You're not going to slow down at all. So 0 for the winner last time out at Watkins Glen. A right smile there to the IMSA safety team for Luis Perez Companc, but that's unfortunate.
I just wonder if he'd had a problem there. The left rear tyre looked like it was down to me, but whether that was cause or effect is hard to say. The car just didn't look right as he was trying to turn it to the right into the top of the hill. There's a wee bit of damage on the front of that car to the brake ducts, etc. And once again, we'll work through with the AMR safety crew, track surfaces and the race recovery crew. The car is up with a perfect balance, with that centrally mounted on the balance point. Has to be put on the balance point as well, so it requires minimal intervention. And here comes the flatbed. Drop it down. This is mega, absolutely mega, the way they're doing this. Very, very polished way of doing recovery. There's a few circuits that I watch other series on around the world and talk about other series on around the world that could learn a lot from this. It's great teamwork. We don't like to see cars at the side of the track, but when they do, making sure the driver is all right, that is absolutely number one. Then number two, get the car clear and back to the pits without causing any further damage to it, and in a timely fashion. So once again, we've got the little four-wheel Kubota with the fork truck on the front. That is going to be Luigi for me now forevermore, and that is making the adjustments to the tyre barrier and the conveyor in front of it. Goodly little crowd of people there, and they had a front row seat of that. Hello to you all up at turns 5 and 6, enjoying the sunshine, listening in, I'm sure, on 90.7 CTMP FM. It looks like we're going to go for a restart, Jeremy, to get the 10 minutes. Turn 3, not Moss Corner. 1 minute 12 seconds, so nobody's going to get round to do a lap that will count. What I was doing very quick arithmetic and having not written down the exact times earlier, my apologies. So well done to the team up there at turn 3, the exit of, or halfway around Quebec Corner. And to those of you sitting there enjoying the view, good place to watch there. So Perez Companc's car is showing on the tracker, but that's because it's on the back of a flatbed, and that is now at Moss Corner, where one presumes it will pull off. Well, actually, there might not be room for it to pull off. Let's see if it goes through sector 2. I haven't talked about the timing sectors here, actually. Timing lines from the start-finish line to just about where Luis Perez Companc went off, actually, is sector 1. Sector 2 from there to 3/4 of the way down the Andretti Straight, and then from there to the finish line. And both the emergency vehicles have cleared the track now. Daniel Goldberg is asking how hard that he can press to go for pole position. I just don't think there's going to be enough time for him to get around to start a lap. Let's see what gets put back on the clock. And kudos again to IMSA Race Control and our stewards. Nice job by the flatbed driver getting off the track and reversing in between the gap in the fence. So we are going to go for this one more time. Green flag for qualifying.
Quite sure
10 seconds so far.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what
I think
point is it going out, John?
Yeah, I think just to get the time in, Jeremy, to get the 10 minutes green.
Indeed, that I do understand, but I can't really see the point of leaving the pit lane because you're not going to get around before the checkered flag comes out, so you're not going to be able to do a flying lap.
True. Very true. Potential to do more damage, I suppose. That's the only thing. There'll be a few teams, I think, that don't go out. Nick Bull went out and PJ Hyatt went out. I think they are the only two. You've not been
Super
here.
tight,
Track
though.
time is track time. Oh,
Yeah,
is it ever?
great stuff. I mean,
That
the
gap at
top
the top.
6 cars covered by just over 0.4 of a second. That's really good by all of those guys. PJ Hyatt, Dan Goldberg, Carl Robinson, Nick Bull, Stephen Thomas and George Kurtz, all covered by 0.435 of a second. I'm sure some of them are feeling really frustrated because they would have felt there was more time in the car, but a 9.5 is a pretty good lap. Particularly when you've only had kind of one warm up lap beforehand to get everything ready. So I think there's definitely more pace out there from a bunch of these guys. But it was PJ Hyatt that's done the best job, and for the third time this season, out of four attempts, he's going to be on the pole position. I think that's PJ Hyatt. We have, as you talked about before, we have qualifying points, and that number 99 car, it might be languishing 10th in the points table, but it has scored more points out of qualifying than anybody else in the field. 94 coming into this weekend, so add 35 for what looks like another pole position here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
I tell you what, if he'd hustled just a little bit more, it would have been very, very close. Because as he came into the pit lane and he'd already slowed down coming out of turn 8. He had the checkered flag. If he'd been flat out, it would have been tight to get one more lap. Hey, he's down with Shea Adam, and thank you very much indeed to our NBC colleagues. Shea's got to run after this to call the Mazda race with me, and so thank you to our NBC TV colleagues for letting us go first on this one, on the live coverage. Let's throw down then to our CrowdStrike pit reporter Shea Adam with the pole sitter of the Chevrolet Grand Prix.
Third time in a row for PJ Hyatt. PJ, you figured out this qualifying thing. What did it take to make Spike fly around CTMP?
Well, that was a tricky qualifying. I was really hoping I could get into a rhythm, and we had a couple of stoppages there. But overall, this team has done such a phenomenal job, giving me such a great car at every racetrack this year, and I couldn't be happier about how it's all coming together. And these poles, I mean, it's a real testament to the entire team. I'm just so proud of everybody here. The car was absolutely flying. It felt great.
Congratulations on pole today. Good luck getting the first one tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was impressive. Pro drivers struggle to just switch straight back on again, Jeremy, and all of those drivers actually did a pretty good job, particularly the top 4. Hyatt, Daniel Goldberg in second by just 0.090 of a second. Gar Robinson will be on the inside of row 3. He was just another 0.018 back. Then Nick Bull, 0.66. He's on the outside of the second row. Stephen Thomas for TDS on the inside of row 5, 0.068. It's on half a tenth of a second here. George Kurtz outside of row 3, another couple of tenths further back. Ben Keating inside of row number 4. John Ferrano outside of row number 4 for Tower. Lance Wilsey inside of row 5. Stuart Wiltshire outside of row 5. And then the two drivers who caused the reds, being Luis Perez Compang and Dennis Anderson, will be then. So PJ Hyatt takes another pole position. He'll lead them round for the start of the Chevrolet Grand Prix. Tomorrow we will have Michelin Countdown to Green for that, and then bring you the whole race live and uninterrupted. Congratulations. His first ever pole position